At every crossing, on every street, in every yard, the scars of battle are apparent. And today, we followed in the footsteps of Ukrainian nationalists as they turned people's homes into firing ranges. As Ukrainian troops retreated deeper into the city, they would, in every single residential building, they would break down the doors into apartments to set up new firing positions, again drawing fire on these apartments, on themselves, leaving people with nowhere to live. Tens of thousands of civilians now live in the basements of their apartment blocks. It's warmer for one, but also much safer than upstairs. Here's another apartment in a residential building that Ukrainian nationalists set up a firing post in. All over the place, bullets, empty shell casings, but also here a primed grenade launcher. It has been primed. As I said, it may have malfunctioned, but it would be very dangerous to touch it or disturb it. In any case, this is a job for sappers. The higher you are, the better the view, the farther you can see and shoot, even if you have to climb over the heads of civilians.
There were nationalists hiding up in the top floors over there. Snipers too. One of them shot at people walking down the street. He just kept shooting, but missed. A young woman walking by was in absolute shock. She hid in a local shop.
We sat in the closet and prayed to God, because any one of those shells could have hit our apartment. We didn't understand who they were shooting at. There was no one here. No soldiers, no separatists, no Russian troops. They just kept shelling here from the factory.
Everywhere you'll find magazines, unexploded shells, bullets, even grenades that failed to detonate. And occasionally the vials, syringes and peels that fueled nationalist regiments. Here is another apartment broken into by Ukrainian nationalists. They had a great view out of this window, and they set up a firing position here. A variety of calibers, empty shell casings, but also, as in many places that we visited, empty syringes, apparently the end of a vial here. No idea what this was, but in many of these places, apartments where they were stationed, where they fired from, where there have been drugs that were seized by the Donetsk police that have cleaned up the place after them to an extent. But we know for a fact that Ukrainian nationalists are heavily dependent on amphetamines. This is something we had seen in Syria, in Iraq, whether it was ISIS fighters or Syrian rebels. They would take these amphetamines and they could keep going without sleep, without rest, without food, drink or water for days and days.
We found drugs during the inspections. Captured Ukrainian soldiers admitted that they used drugs to make it easier for them to fight.
The population of Mariupol was always seen as pro-Russian by Ukrainian nationalists. For years, they tried to beat and bully loyalty into the locals.
Two of my friends were having a drink, and nationalists walked up to them and told them to say, "Glory to Ukraine." One of them refused, so they broke his fingers. This isn't a story from the internet. This happened to my friend.
But that went both ways. The civilians here never understood the fanatical habits of Azov and other nationalist battalions.
They were all tattooed, and they had these rituals. They had these torchlight marches over there. They also had rights. They even put up a fence, so people wouldn't see what they were up to.
The end result was utter disregard for civilians among nationalists. They never saw them as equals, as fellow countrymen and women, but as fodder, human shields, expendable bodies for the glory of Ukraine. Murad Gazdiev, RT, from Mariupol.